Hey friends, welcome to Calendar TV. In this video, we're going to talk about offensive statistics. Let's start by defining statistics and metrics. Statistics are more basic and traditional. They're also discrete variables, which means things you can count. For example, hits, home runs, and RBIs are statistics. A metric is more advanced and complex, and they're also compound, which means they're composed of two or more statistics or metrics. Examples of metrics include wOBA, weighted runs created plus, and WAR. Something like batting average would also be considered a metric since it's compound. It's hits divided by at-bats, so it's composed of two different statistics. OPS would be another example of a metric since it's on-base percentage plus slugging percentage. But statistics and metrics are often used interchangeably, like you'll hear people call a statistic a metric or a metric a statistic, and it's not a very big deal. But I do think it's interesting to know the difference between statistics and metrics. Batting average is one of the oldest statistics in baseball. It tells you what percentage of a hitter's at-bats result in hits. Here's the formula: batting average equals hits divided by at-bats. However, batting average does receive a lot of criticism since it doesn't include things like walks, and also it treats all hits as equal. Even though batting average is not perfect, it's still useful, because it is useful to know what percentage of a hitter's at-bats result in hits. However, one thing I don't like is the batting title. I think it's a good award, but it shouldn't be determined based on what hitter has the highest batting average, because having the highest batting average does not necessarily make you the best hitter and worthy of being called the batting champion. Bill James is the pioneer of sabermetrics, and he determined that getting on base has a higher correlation with scoring runs than getting hits. That led to on-base percentage. This tells you what percentage of a hitter's plate appearances result in getting on base. It's better than batting average since it considers walks, but it's not great since it also treats all events as equal. The formula is on-base percentage equals hits plus walks plus hit by pitches divided by at-bats plus walks plus hit by pitch plus sac flies. Slugging percentage tells you the number of bases a hitter gets per at-bat. So players that hit more extra bases tend to have a higher slugging percentage. What makes slugging percentage good is that it does what batting average and on-base percentage doesn't do. It weights hits according to their value, but it weights hits based on the number of bases received. So a single would be 1 base, a double would be 2 bases, a triple is 3 bases, and a home run is 4 bases. So the weights aren't perfect. We're going to talk about a better example that weights hits better. And another problem with slugging percentage is that it only looks at hits. It doesn't look at walks. Here's the formula here. Slugging equals number of singles plus 2 times doubles plus 3 times triples plus 4 times home runs divided by at-bats. On-base plus slugging, or OPS, combines the good aspects of on-base percentage, such as including walks, with the good aspects of slugging, such as weighted hits. However, it's not perfect, since it just adds two statistics together. In order for this to be accurate, on-base percentage and slugging percentage would have to be equally valuable. However, 1 point of on-base percentage is greater than 1 point of slugging. So OPS is a good statistic, but it's not great since it just combines two statistics together, which isn't perfect. So there are better options that we're going to talk about. OPS plus compares a player's OPS to league average. An OPS plus of 100 is average, greater than 100 is better than average, and less than 100 is worse than average. OPS plus also tells you what percent better or worse a hitter is than average. For example, a 150 OPS plus is 50% better than average, and an 80 OPS plus is 20% worse than average. So the nice thing about OPS plus is that it makes it easy to compare players and see if they're better or worse than average. Weighted on-base average, or wOBA, was created by Tom Tango, and it's one of the best measures of overall hitting ability. The goal of OPS is to combine the good aspects of on-base percentage, such as including multiple types of events, such as walks, with the good aspects of slugging, such as weighting hits. However, wOBA does this a bit better since it's all in one individual metric, and the weights are based on expected run values, not bases. Here we can see that wOBA has a higher correlation to a team's run scoring than OPS. Also, here is the wOBA scale. This gives you a general idea of what's considered a good or not so good wOBA. But remember, this is just a general scale. This isn't definitive. And the way I like to think about wOBA is that a 300 wOBA is not too good, low threes is pretty average, mid threes is good, high threes is very good, and 400 is great. But remember, this is just general guidelines to understand how wOBA is rated, and this is not a definitive scale. Weighted runs created plus is my favorite hitting metric, but to understand weighted runs created plus, we need to start with runs created, which was created by Bill James, and it tells you how many runs a player creates for his team. Weighted runs created was created by Tom Tango, and it's a bit better since it's based on wOBA. Then weighted runs created plus compares a player's weighted runs created to league average, similar to OPS plus. But it also includes context, such as park factor, which is good because not all parks are the same. Some are more hitter friendly and some are more pitcher friendly. So weighted runs created plus is my favorite hitting metric since it's based on wOBA, but it also makes it easy to compare players, similar to OPS plus. Expected wOBA is calculated the same way as traditional wOBA, but expected wOBA is based on StatCast data and probability. It uses data such as exit velocity, launch angle, and sprint speed, and gives every batted ball a single, double, triple, and home run probabilities based on the StatCast data. Expected wOBA is calculated using those probabilities. So it's based more on quality of contact and not the outcome. Isolated power, or ISO, tells you the number of extra bases a hitter gets per at bat. It's calculated by slugging percentage minus batting average, or 1 times doubles plus 2 times triples plus 3 times home runs divided by at-bats. Isolated power is a measure of a hitter's raw power, but it just tells you the type of hitter, not how valuable the hitter is. so it would just tell you if a hitter is more of a singles hitter or a power hitter, but not how valuable the hitter is. Batting average on balls in play calculates how often a ball in play is a hit. It's the same as batting average, just excluding home runs and strikeouts and including sac flies. The good thing about batting average on balls in play is its predictive value. A big change in batting average on balls in play can mean a player is getting lucky or unlucky. Let's say a player has a career batting average on balls in play of 300, but the next season they have a batting average on balls in play of 350. This means that the player is most likely getting lucky, and you can expect their batting average on balls in play to decrease. BSR, or base running runs above average, is a comprehensive measure of base running ability, including stolen bases, taking extra bases, such as turning a single into a double, and avoiding outs by not getting thrown out on the bases. BSR is the base running component of WAR. BSR equals weighted stolen bases plus ultimate base running plus weighted grounded into double plays. OFF, or offensive runs above average, measures overall offensive ability, including hitting and running. It differs from wOBA and weighted runs created plus, because those just look at hitting, but this is a comprehensive measure of overall offensive ability. Defensive runs above average is a comprehensive measure of defensive ability. It measures fielding runs and adjusts for position. Positional adjustment is important because it considers the difficulty of saving a run at different positions. In some positions, it's easier to save a run than others. For example, it's easier to save a run at first base than it is at shortstop. So that's why it's so important to adjust for position. Let's wrap up this video with WAR, or wins above replacement. This is my favorite overall metric since it encompasses every aspect of the game, such as hitting, fielding, and running. It's the best measure of overall value. WAR tells you how many wins a player contributes to his team above a replacement level player. Even though WAR is very valuable, you should always use multiple metrics when comparing players. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more Calendar TV.